Jim Knowles opening up about his move to Penn State only adds fuel to one of college football's fiercest rivalries.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. During today's show, we'll discuss how Jim Knowles moving on to Penn State helped Ryan Day evolve, as well as the similarity between Tony Alford moving on and Jim Knowles leaving too. But first, normally this time of year, we come on the show talking about CFP expansion and conference expansion and even looking ahead to official visit season. We don't normally talk about coaches that left 3 months ago or about a coach getting suspended. Not an Ohio State coach, it's a Michigan coach, but that's what we've had this week. And the latest one is Jim Knowles opening up about his move to Penn State. He had an interview with ESPN, and in that, he detailed some things that happened that led to him leaving Ohio State. He was trying to get a contract extension before Ohio State played the national championship game. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it made sense to Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles was asked to not attend the national championship celebration while there were some ongoing contract things going on between Knowles and Penn State. There were also some other things going on with how Knowles viewed the job itself because of the pressure that surrounds coaching at Ohio State. And all that goes to add to Knowles leaving, which you may scratch your head when you hear that, because I scratch my head when I hear some of that too. But also, everything going on with Knowles leaving and him opening up about his departure, it just adds fuel to this intense rivalry. This rivalry that one school calls unrivaled, the other one, some fans will say Ohio State and Penn State aren't rivals. I will sit up here and say every day of the week and twice on Sunday, they absolutely are. It's one of them games you circle on your calendar at the beginning of the season because you know it's going to be a banger. You know it's going to be one. It's going to be a four-quarter battle. That's Ohio State and Penn State every year. It's always one of the most physical games of the season. Can't say the most physical. That's the Michigan game. But this one's generally number 2 every single year. And for Jim Knowles to even go to Penn State, even just let's just say this was a normal departure of a coach going from one school to another for a lateral move. Also, it was a pay bump too. So he got more money, and it was a lateral move. If that was just normal, I think all of us would understand why some of this stuff is happening if it was just a different school. It's Penn State, a school that doesn't beat Ohio State, not under this current coach. James Franklin's only won one game over the Buckeyes, and I believe that was the Trace McSorley, one of those Trace McSorley years, 2016 maybe, at number sticks out of my head right now. But that's it. Outside of that, Penn State's offense really hasn't been able to get the job done. They've had some decent quarterbacks. I'm not going to sit up here and say Drew Aller isn't a talented quarterback, because he is. But against Ohio State, that offense, the Nittany Lions, does not get a lot of things done. So now all of a sudden you have a coach that comes in that knows Ohio State through and through. The pressure to coach in Happy Valley is not the pressure to coach in Columbus, Ohio, which I think that may fit Jim Knowles a little bit better, especially when he's talking about how the pressure and some of the things that had to happen after the Michigan loss, and then talking about some of the things that happened in regards to just Ryan Day being disgruntled and some of this treatment of the defensive coaching staff. Knowles was really good at Ohio State. I'm not going to be naive to say he wasn't. But man, maybe the pressure got to him. But to kind of put this on Ryan Day and say that Day was the reason why you left because, well, you wouldn't have explored other options if Ohio State offered the contract extension before the national championship game, that's a weak move to me. The timing of this is very big, though, because Knowles has been coaching for a very long time. And in any given year, the timing of Knowles' departure is late in the coaching cycle. Conference championship weekend is the first weekend in December. The portal, which is a newer thing in the sport, open up the Monday after conference championship games. So the portal opened, the portal closed. But for Jim Knowles, a lot of them top tier coaches already being pulled, man. Already being poached, trying to go here, trying to go there. And Jim Knowles knows this. He also knows that Notre Dame has an opening with Al Golden leaving. Oklahoma has an opening with their DC only being there for 1 year, and he is gone. Penn State being another one. Tom Allen goes to Clemson. That's open. So there's four of the biggest brands in the sport three, have openings. Jim Knowles knows this. He knows the longer he waits, the more likely he is that he will not be able to get one of those jobs. But if all you had to wait was for a few days and you wanted to stay at Ohio State, don't you think you would have waited them few days? I would. If I want to go up somewhere, or if I want to do something with my wife, and all of a sudden I realize I can't do it here. Well, I could do it here, but it's not the best time for it. It could lead to some little disgruntled feelings for some people and people scratching their heads. But if I wait just a couple more days, all that stuff that could go wrong won't go wrong because I'm just waiting a couple more. I would do that. It's a no-brainer to me. But for Knowles to say, nah, y'all work on my timetable. I know y'all paying me, but you know the words, the customer is always right. And maybe in the situation, while Knowles was not literally the customer, he had that mindset. The customer is always right. And he wanted to pursue things in his timetable because of what he's used to. College football, the season ended on January 20th, late into the evening, later than it's ever ended. And I think that messed up with Knowles' head and his timetable. I get it. There was also one thing that popped into my head in regards to Knowles going to Penn State was that the morning of it may have been after 12 noon now, Eastern time, that an Oklahoma person, someone that covers Oklahoma, ended up tweeting out that Knowles was going to Penn State. He wouldn't be going to Oklahoma, where I was under the impression that Knowles would be going to Oklahoma, not because his fiance lives out there. I just thought that him and Brent Venables together would be two wizards out there calling, like, with the defense, and Oklahoma's defense, which has a lot of talent, would be a lot of fun to watch this upcoming year. No, you go to Penn State, who also runs a defense that fits everything Knowles wants. The scheme, the talent, it is perfect for Jim Knowles. The talent is. The way James Franklin runs things, it's good for Jim Knowles. All of those things are great. But to put this on Ryan Day, aside from even adding fuel to the fire, which is doing, to put this on Ryan Day, that's a big, big miss. It's a swing and a miss. Or maybe you might want to say he's striking out looking. I'm not sure it's baseball season. You pick which analogy you want to use right now. But whichever one you pick, it's going to fit the description. Because Knowles' timetable wasn't Ryan Day's, and I think I lean more on Ryan Day right now than for Jim Knowles. If I went to my boss gives me a big task, a big project to complete. But in the midst of me working on that project, I say, hey, boss, it's time for my raise. And my boss is like, excuse me? You got this massive project, one that's bigger than anything you've ever worked on for me, and you want to come to me and ask for a raise right now at this time? That doesn't make any sense. And Jim Knowles saying he wouldn't have explored other options if Ohio State offered a contract extension before the national championship. Y'all, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I can't do it this time because that doesn't make any sense. What does make sense is a similarity between Tony Alford leaving Ohio State and Jim Knowles' departure. We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with the freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Thank y'all for tapping on Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Jim Knowles' departure from Ohio State at the end of the 2024 season is the second season in a row that Ohio State has lost a key assistant coach. All assistant coaches are key, but these two are very specific. Tony Alford was one of those guys that stayed at Ohio State after Urban Meyer's retirement, and then Jim Knowles was in year 3 in Columbus, Ohio. Took Ohio State's defense to the place it hadn't been in a really long time. Losing Tony Alford, a well-respected, a really good RB coach. Losing Jim Knowles, who might be the man when it comes to defenses in the country. Losing those two coaches in back-to-back years is odd. What's even odder is they left over money in a contract dispute. Tony Alford wanted a multi-year extension. He only got a one-year contract. Jim Knowles wanted a contract extension, which he ended up getting, might I add, but it didn't come at the time that he wanted it to come. And these two guys leaving, it gives me a sense of deja vu, but also you got to feel pretty good about what Ohio State did after those guys have gone, left. If you look at Tony Alford, he left in the middle of spring ball. Harbaugh's gone. Sharon Moore is hired as a head coach, and Sharon Moore does something that is odd. Odder than Jim Knowles going to Penn State. He goes to the rival and gets the running back coach. Y'all doing business with the enemy? I mean, many of the everyday understand my stance on this. You don't do business with the enemy. No, sir, Bob. I grew up an Indianapolis Colts fan. I am still a Colts fan, and one of the things that I knew for years, the Colts and Patriots just don't do business, man. Ain't no way. No, sir, no. You just don't do it. And all of a sudden, Reggie Wayne got the wild idea to try to play for the Patriots. He still wanted to play. The Patriots were going to bring him into training camp. Next thing you know, Reggie Wayne said, oh, no, I'm done. And he retired. Now, do I think Belichick did something wrong to him? No. I just think that he was done playing football. But it was weird, man. To go from a man wearing that blue and white Colts jersey to wearing that ugly thing that Patriots wear? No, it's weird. That's very, very weird. But that's business with the enemy. I get it, you're a free agent. But the Patriots, man, y'all been torching Reggie Wayne for years. All of a sudden, you're trying to do this? Michigan clearly has no problem doing things that they should not do. That's on my own personal belief. It's not a handwritten rule, but they did break some handwritten rules, which led to Sharon Moore's self-imposed suspension. Now, it's the second coach that's been suspended for a sign stealing scandal before the NCAA has finalized their investigation, and Michigan's trying to do some things so the hammer is not brought out as hard as it should be. And I believe it will be a massive, massive hammer for Michigan because y'all breaking rules. I know y'all shouldn't do it, and now you're trying to do everything you can to lighten that punishment. I hope, absolutely hope, the NCAA has a no mercy rule. I don't think it should ban them and kill the program like they did SMU in the 80s. I'm not going that far, but I will say this. If you cheat, there will be consequences. And I really hope the consequences Michigan gets for stealing signs, I hope they're harsh. I hope they're drawn out. I hope there are some lost scholarships. Maybe a loss on how many official visits you can bring in and have. Bring it down on them because that cheating was so blatant. And I don't think they really care. I don't think some of them that were doing it are apologetic for it. Why? Because they won a national championship. Oh, yeah, wins are vacated, should be vacated. That Natty should be taken away too because y'all cheated. And cheaters should not win. Not in sports, not in life. Cheaters shouldn't win. They did business with the enemy. It's weird. Knowles going to Penn State. It's weird. Knowles' contract extension, unlike Alford, Knowles got a multi-year contract extension for $2.75 million. That was the offer that Ryan Day extended to Jim Knowles. There was no negotiation. There was no back and forth. There was no, hey, will you match this or will you counter it? None of that happened with Jim Knowles in Ohio State before Knowles went to Penn State. So not only did Knowles have the weird request about the timing of his contract extension, he didn't even negotiate with Ohio State, which makes me believe that, yeah, there was more to it than just you and the timing of you and the contract extension that you wanted. The timetable was different than yours. I don't believe that was the only reason at all. I do know that Jim Knowles was disgruntled with Ryan Day, with how Ryan Day treated some of the coaches on the defensive staff, especially after the Oregon loss. But Ryan Day was coaching for his job. J-O-B. If Ohio State had a year like people thought they might have once again, Ross York would be in a really interesting spot. Would you want to keep a guy around as one of the best coaches in the sport, but simply can't beat the rival as he's turning into a walking 10-2 coach? Would you want to keep that guy around? Lost 4 years to the rival. Could it be 5 or could it be 6? No one wants to think about that until there was a legitimate thing for Ryan Day, realizing even in the middle of the season, he was coaching for his job, and that move and the way he handled things on defense and got the philosophy right, which I don't think it fully aligned with what Knowles wanted. It has to happen. It 100% has to happen. If you are the head coach, you have to make sure everybody and their mama under your watch is doing the right things for the program. Not the right things for the individual, but the right things for the program. You have to make sure that happens. I'm not mad about Ryan Day being a little bit more vocal. I ain't mad at Ryan Day doing what he did after the Oregon loss and during that bye week before they had 2 weeks before coming back on the field. I ain't mad about that at all. Why? Because it needed to happen. It 100% needed to happen. And some guys just aren't made for it. Some guys aren't made for the pressure of coaching at Ohio State. Some people, yeah, they'll be there, they'll do some good things. But man, once that bad boy gets cranked up and up and up, next thing you know, it's like, hey, man, the fire in this kitchen is really hot and it's growing at a rate that's a lot quicker than I thought. All of a sudden, what does this mean? You might not be able to take the heat, so get up out the kitchen. I do think the pressure got to Jim Knowles, 100%. There was even a screenshot of a conversation. I don't know if this is accurate because it's very, very easy for people that know how to do stuff with the computer to, I'll say Photoshop. I don't know exactly what people do. I know how to do some things in Canva. That's about it. But go on one of these apps, on one of these softwares and dial and type in something to make it look like you are talking to someone very, very important. And then, bam, those Knowles' fiance put out a whole list of things that she was disgruntled with. Jim Knowles' sister, and some of you may follow her on the X, and she was very vocal about a lot of things. Vocal, I get it. Alford leaving, Knowles leaving over some money, over a contract. Alford wanted a multi-year extension, didn't get it. Knowles wanted an extension. It's for the Buckeyes played Notre Dame. I'm trying my best not to laugh about this, but this is coming quite comical. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I realize some of these requests don't make any sense. But what does make sense is Ryan Day figuring out, even in some adverse situations, to learn from everything going on around him. And while Ryan Day learned from Knowles leaving, I 100% believe it's going to make him a better coach. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and with live player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Once again, Are you new to FanDuel? And if you are, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank y'all for tapping the Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One of my favorite things about covering Ohio State is watching Ryan Day's journey as a coach, from when he first came on campus in 2017 to him getting promoted to being the head football coach in 2019 to this past season when the Buckeyes won the Natty. Watching Ryan Day's growth as a coach has been a lot of fun. But while watching that process, there's also some moments that have made him better, where he's met some really intense friction where Ryan Day had to figure some things out on the fly, made the correct phone calls, sent the right emails to the right people, and sent all the text messages to figure out how to handle being a head coach in college football. Alford leaving, Knowles leaving, bringing in Chip Kelly, hiring Matt Guerrieri, hiring Tim Walton, hiring Justin Fry, hiring Tyler Bowen, hiring X, Y, or Z. Ryan Day is getting the job done. And Ryan Day's evolution as a coach has been a lot of fun to watch. But also, you can't forget that his evolution as a coach ties into what's currently going on with this current situation. If you want to look back a couple of years ago to Tony Alford leaving first, we could do that, because Tony Alford leaving when he left during spring ball, that's a scenario where most people would sit up here and say, he lose during spring ball, you're not going to be able to get someone close to his caliber of a coach, or close to getting the demand of a top dollar because of spring ball. Spring ball is very, very important. Do a lot of the install, and new players get acclimated to new coaches. There's a lot that goes into it. Ryan, they didn't fret, didn't panic. He did everything he had to do, did all of his background checks, did all the research to land himself on Carlos Locklyn, who was about to start spring ball in Oregon, might I add. So it wasn't just like Ohio State was impacted by this. Oregon was too. But Locklyn coming in, it was really clear that he was the kind of guy that was your uncle at the cookout that keeps everybody in check. That's Carlos Locklyn. But also, he is one that puts on himself that if he's going to ask the guys in this room to do something, he's going to make sure that he is able to do it too. Now, he ain't about to go out there and throw the ball on 3rd and 3. He ain't going to throw the ball on 1st and 10 on the first offensive play of the game. He ain't doing that either. But what does he do? Homie gets in that weight room and pumps that iron day after day. Why? Because he wants to make sure that he's up to task and asking himself to do the same things that the guys in his room do. Ryan Day could have lost his mind about the timing of Alford leaving. He didn't. He stayed focused. He accomplished the task at hand, and the rest is history. Now, in regards to Jim Knowles leaving, with Jim Knowles going to Penn State offering $3.1 a year. Oklahoma and Notre Dame offered similar contracts to that. Ohio State offered $2.75 million. So there are some monetary gains by Knowles going to Penn State. While that's also true, Ryan Day's in a weird spot, because outside of Jim Knowles, who was the best defensive mind? Probably Brent Venables. But Brent Venables is a head coach right now. He has not been let go of Oklahoma, relieved of his duties to be on the open market. So outside of that, you might have to go elsewhere. And that's what Ryan Day did, going to the NFL and bringing in Matt Patricia. But Matt Patricia is not a coach that's void of questions being asked about his past, from him not having a job in 2024. What went into that? What went into the debacle that was your time there in Detroit? Well, you were also a first-time head coach, so that has to be played into it too. There are so many angles and so many things to talk about in regards to just Matt Patricia in general. But Ryan Day could have said, man, you leaving us right now. Just like for Jim Knowles moving as a coach late in the cycle, it's late for Ryan Day too. Maybe even later, because Jim Knowles found a new home before Ryan Day found his replacement for Jim Knowles. So it's even harder. But what did Ryan Day do? He found a guy. if there's one guy out there that I think could be a D coordinator in any system out there, Matt Patricia's one of those guys. I'm not going to say he's the only. He is one of those guys. And what did Ryan Day do? Homie was patient. Very, very patient. He did his homework, did his research, made sure this was the right guy for the job. And what else happened? You stuck to the plan, and the rest is history. And Ryan Day's evolution as a coach is one that we have seen day after day after day, and him even being a whole lot more comfortable with things going on currently at Ohio State, how to handle them with NIL and player revenue being shared at some point. I know that was tabled. That was something we thought was going to be put into action. At least we got a concrete date when it was going to be put in action. We got to wait. We got to wait for that. But Ryan Day's evolved, not only when it's hiring, but NIL, he's evolved there. The portal, he's evolved there. Being open about expansion, being open about X, Y, or Z. Hey, even Ryan Day's is talking about, hey, if somebody wants to go out there and play another team on the day of their spring game, so be it. I've said it before. Other levels of football have it. I played Indiana high school football. I played high school football in Indiana. There was a scrimmage before every single season. That's what you had. So you got that. College basketball, they have hush, closed door, private scrimmages. The NFL, they're down to 3 preseason games. I think Roger Goodell is really leaning towards only having 2. Someone even said at the FCS level, they have scrimmages against other teams in their off season. Ryan Day said, hey, I'm open. I mean, if somebody else wants to do it, great. That's cool. We're not going to, but I'm not going to knock somebody else that wants to. That's evolution, man, because I guarantee Ryan Day, first couple of years, we ain't playing nobody. I'm going to keep this thing all tight. I'm not going to let nobody or their mama try to come in here to the shoe to play us. No, we're not doing that. But he's being more open-minded. He's really doing a great job of changing and evolving with the sport. Even talking about the seeding for the playoff, which it sounds right now that the people in the room are open about not liking the current format, but they're also not open enough to say what the new format should be. Why are they like that? I don't know. I think Pat McAfee called them cats cowards. I ain't going that far, but someone might say it's a coward move. If you want change, if you won't speak up about the change you want, that might be a coward move. Why? Because of fear of your peers? No, just do your job. Just do your job to the best of your ability. That's what Ryan Day has been doing very, 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 very well. And I have a good feeling it's going to continue as Ryan Day is leading Ohio State for however long Ryan Day wants to be here in Columbus. What do we know about Ryan Day? He's going to evolve. He's going to change. He's going to allow the players, not just allow the players to play, but allow the players to release themselves, hold each other accountable. That's growth, man. Yeah, a lot of these coaches got some screws loose. I saw one head coach, when I was in high school, head butted one of my teammates before going back on the field after halftime. What did that coach have? A blood on his forehead, rub it down, had to get a bandage and everything. That's how that thing went. I forgot about that story. I really did. He had a few screws loose. That's where we're going with that. He had a few screws loose, and you got to have a few screws loose. But that's what is going to help you be a really good coach. Ryan Day continues to evolve, and I can't wait to see the next stage of Ryan Day's evolution as a college football coach. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this your first listen today. For your second listen, check out The Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find The Portal on the YouTube and find Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube as well, or find both wherever you listen to your fine podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a hump day. We'll see you next time.